Well, you know, in the charter, the mayor is the CEO of the city, and that, in my interpretation, it simply means that we, as the mayor and her administration, oversee all the operations of the city. Not only do we oversee operations, but of course, we lead the effort in making sure that people know what the vision is of the city, make sure that we're connecting with all the various segments in the community, and that we're bringing people together behind a common vision so that the city can grow and move forward. But those are just few of the duties. But the CEO is how it's defined in the charter, and that means we do all the operations. We try to make sure we address the needs, try to make sure that people are receiving the services that are necessary to have a great city, and that you know, we have a vision where we can unite people, and so with that come a lot of other things where we try to embrace our community, where we open, where we are being transparent, you know, where we're being good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and so that we're able to get the most for what people expect from us. I also carry that a little bit further. I think that the mayor is a public servant. In my mind, unless you're able to really have a passion for serving, then your position as the mayor is not really worthwhile. I'll say it that way. So we serve, and we we listen to our publics. We're not going to please everybody, but certainly we're going to be there trying to make sure that we can serve and make sure our city grows. We got to do that by working with people. And so we work with all the various organizations and groups. We partner with people. We don't have enough funding to do everything that's necessary, but certainly there are ways to leverage our funding so that we can get the best bang for the buck. And so that's what we've been doing for the past 3.5 years. We've been able to bring in $50 million in grants just to make sure we can fill in the gaps. Being under consent decree, which is a mandate by the federal government to fix our sewer system, for an example, is something that is challenging, but it's an opportunity for us to have a better sewer system for the citizens. Well, I have had the experience of doing that as a CEO when I was the superintendent of Cattle Public Schools, when I was a superintendent of New Orleans Public Schools, and when I was superintendent at the state level for the state of Louisiana. So I'm accustomed to actually operating a large budget, being able to execute on the things that we are supposed to execute and use those funds in the most effective and efficient manner that's possible. So I have that experience. I've had that with the last several positions I've held in corporate America, particularly in the school system. And so in my mind, it means that we need to look at how we use every dollar. And so what we've done with, since I've been mayor, every department, of course, has to put in place you know, goals that are measurable and how we spend our money. So what we've done is we place it on the website, and every department has to report every year how the money is being spent and what projects are being executed so that our citizens can have you know, a good quality of life. And so that's really what a CEO does. That person ensures that the funding is used appropriately. And with that experience, you know, we've had the experience with capital budgets, we've had the experience with bonding, we've had the experience with capital improvements, all facets of how to utilize a budget, a large budget such as this one. We have no problem in doing that, and when we don't have the money we need to execute on the services we have, if there are challenges, then we have to look at how we can partner with other people And we've done that with private industry. We've done that with nonprofits. We've done that with other civic groups. We've done that with other governmental entities. And then you're able to leverage the funds to be able to provide a good quality of life. Well, let me tell you, we have a lot of needs. Coming into the office, we needed about $1.5 billion just to catch up on infrastructure alone. And over the past 3.5 years, or 3 years and about 8 months, we've been able to spend on streets alone $58.6 million. So we have done more than 216 streets in the city. We have about 1,000 miles of streets that really need repair and have been neglected for 25, 30 years. We have a lot of buildings in Shreveport that belong to the city, and some do not, that really need attention. So what we've done in the past 3 years and 8 months from our strategic plan, with the funding that our citizens voted in a bond package in 2011, the money was there, we needed to execute. And so we have actually addressed, and we've done 26 different building and facility projects at a cost of $35 million in the past 3 years and about 8 months. And so we are getting there. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are making those gains. We have that strategic plan that we developed. We have measurable goals every year. We're looking at other ways with our buildings, particularly buildings downtown that are empty. So we're bringing in developers. In fact, we're in the middle of negotiations with 2 other developers, even as we sit here, to be able to come in and overhaul some of the older buildings that have been vacant. And we now have lofts downtown. We have another building that's going up in the near future where other lofts and mixed-use property will be, where we have retail on the bottom and lofts on the top. We have another developer that's working on one of our older buildings, and what we do is we try to make sure that we get them all the incentives that they deserve. So we're doing a lot of that. We have some capital money that we can use, and we've used those as well as we possibly can. But we are constantly marketing Shreveport, bringing in developers to help us. We have applied for the Opportunity Zones program. We submitted 7 of those. We got 5 of those approved, and so we're now trying to find, and we have actually a brochure that we've developed where we are going to be marketing, just touching bases with different groups and different investors so that we can attack that problem more than what we've done, but we have made significant gains. Thank you so much for that question. We've begun a very aggressive plan of trying to grow businesses, small businesses, trying to expand businesses. In the last year and a half, we've worked with businesses, trying to get incentives, and also maybe putting in some of our capital money, where we have been able to expand about 30 different businesses, which came with that jobs. We've also, through our water and sewer work, we've spent $180 million in the past 3 years on water and sewer projects. So a lot of our people that didn't have work now have work. In fact, on an average, our unemployment rate for this region was like about 7.9% unemployment rate. Now it's down 4.7, which means that we've done something, or 4.9. Let me correct myself. I think it's about 4.9 on an average. So we've made significant gains there. With our Fair Share program, we are helping to build capacity by utilizing the State Department. The Louisiana Economic Department is working with us on capacity building with a lot of our small businesses and entrepreneurs. And in fact, we are going to be hosting a small business summit. We already have more than 350 businesses signed up to come in to access information on how to grow their businesses. So we're doing stuff like that. We are now hosting our own job fairs. We had one last month where we had 19 different agencies to come together with a lot of jobs for people, those that are unemployed. We're also, just across our city and across our region, we've also put in, and we have a center where we've been able to get grant dollars with our workforce commission investment program. We have a facility that's called the Caddo Business and Career Solutions Center, where we invite people. We've had about 20,000 people to go through there who needed either veteran services, job referrals, job placement, training. We even do counseling to help people be able to know how to connect their skills with business and industry. And certainly we're bringing in other businesses. So we've touched bases with about 70 businesses and entrepreneurs. And from those, over the past year, we've actually brought in like businesses that hired 500 people at one time. We're expanding another 500 with a business Teleperformance is going to be hiring another 500. So we are working on the unemployment rate throughout the city. Okay, and I will answer that by saying we don't have those nightly. We don't have shootings and crimes nightly. Now we do have crime in every city, probably on a daily basis. And some of those crimes are crimes where, we have domestic violence quite a bit. But we have been working with the federal officials, and we have some operations going now where our crime has been trending down. The first 6 months of 2017, our crime rate was at a certain level. Now it's down about 9%. In fact, about 5-6 weeks ago, a new U.S. attorney had come in, and he'd been with us a few months and did a lot of assessments of what was happening in Louisiana. And of course, he discovered that our crime was trending. So we did a press conference, and I don't know if you saw that. And so what we had been saying to people, they didn't believe, but I think now that they do believe that the crime is trending. But we have some of our own operations in place. We've begun a new one called Operation Stop, where we go into every community now every week, and we speak directly with the community. Our chief and his staff are trying to get people to be more vocal. They don't have to give their names. We have a place that they can go and do that. But we have to stand up as a community, because we don't know when something is going to happen. In fact, we're going to be working on a lot of areas. Even our suicide rate that most people don't know about is probably higher than our homicide rate. But we have a lot of issues where we have domestic violence. We have people who have relationship problems, and we can't police when somebody in a house is shooting, but we can try to get people to talk to us. So we have taken a different approach. The project Safe Neighborhood Project is one that we're doing with the U.S. Department of Justice, along with state police, along with the sheriff department, along with the marshals. We're all working together on the crime. And I would disagree that business is not coming to Shreveport, because I have the list of businesses that we've recruited, and they're in Shreveport. So I would say that we're going to continue to work until we get the crime down. Crime spikes up and down in this city like it does in most urban cities across America. In the 90s, crime was probably among the highest it's ever been. It spiked up and it spiked down. It just happened, it had spiked up recently. But we got businesses coming in, and we have visitors, 1 million visitors come into our city every year, and they have not stopped coming. But we're going to get the crime down. We've got a plan in place. and we're going to work the plan. Well, and let me say what I've started doing since I've been there, and I'll continue to look at how to tweak that. We have about 28 to 30 different commissions, so it's impossible for me to evaluate them, honestly, and then be the mayor and do all the stuff that a mayor has to do. But what I do now, when I make appointments, I sit with every person and we screen every individual for every commission or every board that I appoint. And in that screening, we take a look at what the purpose of every commission or every board is. And then we look at the background, because we ask for a vita or a resume of every individual. And we want to know, first of all, do they care about serving? And why did they want to do it on that board? I don't go out and recruit them. We usually put feelers out and say, we have an opening on, the port. We have an opening with home mortgage. Do we have any interested people from this arena? And people will come, or people want to be reappointed. But I vet every individual, and we follow up. I have a governmental affairs assistant that follows up with the individual boards to see how they're operating. I did find several boards that were not really active. And so we've gotten to a point where we had to say, either we need to see if this board is valuable to us, and if it's not, and then we beginning to bring some of those to council to say these boards are no longer necessary. Some of them have been in place 40 years and there is no longer a need for them. But I vet everyone, and then when it's time for us to reappoint, or when it's time for us to look for other people, we do that, and then we follow to see if they're making a difference. And so that's how I've started doing it. Now, a lot of the reappointments have said to me, mayors don't usually sit down and talk to us about the position, but I feel like that's my responsibility if I'm going to appoint them. Some of the individuals that come, and I need to say this, we have to get nominations from different agencies. For an example, the chamber. You have to submit to me 3 names that you would like, you and the chamber and other boards. And so I get to pick from the 3 people. And Civil Service Board, I don't get to pick for the fire and police. They get to really vote on who they want, and I simply appoint. And so I don't have the authority as mayor to sometimes appoint people that maybe I want to appoint, because I'm limited in what the law says. But I do vet every single person except for the fire and police. They get to choose who they want. Well, and I can tell you what I've been doing and what I have done in my previous life as a CEO, working in government, and really not as an elected official. But since I've been elected, we reach out to each of those various entities to see what we can do together to strengthen our community. And so that's what you have to do. And then you take a look at how we can leverage funding from all of them. For an example, with the parish of Caddo, that's an example. Because Shreveport is in Caddo, and we all pay parish taxes as well as city taxes. We take a look at what their responsibilities are. We take a look at what we have to do within the city to provide services, and there are some things we can do together, and we do that. For an example, the year I came in, the police union said we need cars. Our cars are breaking, and we can't get to the scenes, and so the parish commission said, okay, our ordinance will allow us to help buy some cars for our police officers, because many of them don't have people that they represent outside of the city. And so they did, we spent $6 million trying to buy cars the first year, because we had over 100 plus cars that were really in bad shape. They gave us about like 500,000. But that's one way we can partner with them. The other thing is with other with our delegation. We reach out to them when there's a need for us to get certain legislation passed that will not hurt us, or legislation that will help us at the local level to be able to provide a better quality of service. So what we've done is we've been able to work not only just with our legislative delegation, but we work with the department heads at the state level. And we've been able to get a lot of grant dollars there. For our congressional delegation, we reach out to them. I usually send them a letter about every six weeks, honestly, since I've been in office, trying to get federal dollars. Consequently, the $50 million that I spoke about earlier is a result of all of those networks and those conversations. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got the money. And so we have been working even across with our partners across the river and other mayors around our region. Some of them will call and say, Mayor Tyler, you have some extra cars. We know y'all, have just bought a lot of cars. And yes, we donate those cars to them. We donate, those pieces of equipment that they may need. Mayor Walker and I do a lot of declarations together. We do a lot of proclamations together. So we work together to make sure that our community gets what it needs. Okay?
Thank you.
That question is a little challenge for me, but I will say to you that what I see is a lack of pride in many aspects. We have so many great assets, and I'm saying that because since I've been mayor, I didn't realize how many great assets we have and the capacity that we have to really, really be, the city that we all want to see. If we can get people to feel pride about where they live, that is a challenge. Now, I know we can't change the culture overnight, but I'm going to work diligently every single day to try to make that change. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years and 8 months. We've developed our own quality of life video that we have on our website that talk about how proud we are to be in Shreveport. And we have articulated how many great assets we have and why people love to come visit us. But we got to do the marketing inside. And we need to, we started the first huge campaign for cleaning up our city when I came aboard. It's not working nearly like I want it to work. So we're constantly looking for ways. We started with enforcement. We went to the city courts. We went to the juvenile courts. We're trying to get them to, from some of those offenders, let them help clean up our city. For our neighborhood associations that get neighborhood investment funds from the city to help enhance their communities. I have now put new criteria on those funds. If you apply for them and you get them, you must do one cleanup in your neighborhood each month for 12 months. And to ensure that, I like to see us put in place something that is going to be a checks and balance situation. So Shreveport Green is someone that we partner with to help check each month. They have to say where they're going to be. The city assists with whatever the cleanups are, whatever neighborhood. But now to get those funds, they have to agree to do neighborhood cleanups. Going forward, I'm going to involve with our superintendent in Caddo all of the schools. There was a time when we used to have them really involved. And I don't think they've been as much involved, but we're going to involve, when we can get the children and their families, I think we can get where we need to go. But I need to tell you that developing pride and then being passionate about making sure that we're together and that we're united, that's a big challenge in our city, and I would say in our state and in our nation right now. But I'm not going to sleep until we can get there. And if I'm reelected, we're gonna keep marching in that direction to make people be proud to be in this city. Well, the vision remains the same, because I got the vision from speaking with people across this city and that is for us to become a thriving, robust city where every citizen is afforded a safe environment, economic opportunity, great quality of life, and education and training. And we've been working toward that vision since the day I came through the door at the beginning of 2015. So we put in place a strategic plan that was going to last at least 4 years, because that's what I was elected for. Then we're going to go back and see how, and every year we give a progress report. Every year we put it on the web. Every year we show people how we've spent that money. And you know, we've even reduced taxes. We have all that on the website. So going forward, I see us having to finish the job of addressing infrastructure. As I said earlier, we have 1,000 miles of streets, 1,000 miles of sewer lines that we must address. And so we're going to try to finish doing most of that over the next 4 years. And I said, if I become mayor, I mean when I become mayor for the next 4 years, okay? And so that's a big issue. Even though it's been neglected, I can tell you around the country, infrastructure is a big issue. Now, you will see a lot of construction going on across our city right now. To me, that's progress, because as I said, we've completed more than 216. We've put in a very aggressive plan for replacing streets, and we've done 33 different projects at a cost of $180 million on water and sewer projects. We must finish that job. Our next big thing, I think, is as in addition to the pride that I talked about as a priority, we're going to have to continue our recruitment to get our businesses to grow, our small businesses to become able and build capacity to be able to do business, not just with the city of Shreveport, but anywhere they go. So we're going to continue those efforts, and we're going to continue to work with larger businesses, because they've certainly been a big help. They've even given scholarships so that we could have classes for some of the small business and so we have grown our fair share program from 21 million contracting with the city to 50 million last year. And so we're going to continue those efforts, because we've had to actually help build capacity by utilizing those partners at the state level. But growing our businesses, offering economic opportunity, making sure that people have opportunity for training. We work with all the universities in the area, including our sister city where Bossier Parish Community College is, to all of the universities on this side and technical colleges. But we're going to continue to offer those opportunities to our people, but we're going to push it up a notch. We just need that 4 years to help finish the job. Well, yes, I can share you part of it, because some of it is still in litigation. And of course, my ethics have been tested since I've been a leader in government. I'll tell you that. If I could start back, even when I was superintendent of school system, you know, I had a gentleman call, and he was someone who writes all the time in our community, and said, you need to hire my significant other back. Well, his significant other had been fired by the previous superintendent. And I said, well, you know, let me take a look into the situation. And I did, and discovered that, you know, she was fired unanimously by the board. And I told him, I said, well, you know, I can't hire her back. You'll have to go back through that same process to get her hired back. You know, I don't know what all happened. I did look at the file. And of course, he yelled at me, and he, you know, used some profane language. And I told him, you know, when he could control himself, he could call me back. Well, instead of doing that, he called the board, and, well, long story short, then he decided that he was going to get a lawyer to harass by asking for public records requests every week. And so we went through that, and we went to court. You know, they sued me for some public records requests. It was one of those diversion type tactics. But I stood my ground. And in this position, you have to, in my mind, have integrity, and you can't buy that. And so we went to court, and we won. Since I've been mayor, I've had the same issue. I had people to come to me saying, okay, you need to pay us for this, that, and the other, otherwise we're going to expose you. And I said, go right ahead and do it. I'm not the normal politician. I'm not going to pay you the citizens' money because it's not the right thing to do. They sued me. They lost the first 3 lawsuits. And so I've been tested, even at the state level, even in New Orleans. But I stand firm on the fact that if you're going to do this position of service, because to me it's not just a job, you must do it with integrity, honesty, and you must do it with passion, and do it so that people who come behind you will know that you can do it right. With that comes a lot of pain and a lot of politics and a lot of pushing. And it's not good when people bash you and make stuff up, but you have to stand firm on the truth. Well, I would like to say that I thank the people of Shreveport for giving me the opportunity to serve these 4 years. Even though we came in with a lot of challenges, we've seen a lot of progress. When you talk about, bringing in $50 million to help us be able to have a better life for our people. When you think about fixing $58.6 million worth of streets so that people can have good streets to drive on. When you think about doing $180 million in water and sewer so that we can have a better sewer system. When you think about expanding 30 businesses and bringing in and touching bases with many, many more. Probably 50 or more companies, small businesses. When you talk about finding ways to be efficient in spending money so that you can reduce property taxes, 6.05 mils in 3 years. When you think about being able to utilize funding in a way whereby we can give our employees that really deserve a raise, a biggest raise they've had in a decade, and make sure that our police officers have the raise they deserve. We've recruited more than 130 new police officers in the past year and a half. We've given them the largest raise they've had since 2003. We've given raises to everybody except those making $75,000 and above, 5%. When you think about setting a minimum wage that's above the state level, we start our employees, if you have no training, it's $10.16 an hour. We set that even when the state couldn't get it done. And the list goes on. I've been very blessed to have a team that works. Now, I've had to change some of them, but for the most part, we set the expectation. And they know that honesty and integrity really mean a lot. And if they can't do it that way, then they can't work in this administration. And when we talk about being fair, being courteous, and responding to people, that's important. So going forward over the next 4 years, we want to maintain even a higher level. And we are going to grow this city. We've got to keep trying to build the pride. We've got to keep trying to pull people together, even though sometimes partisan politics play into it. But we'll find a way to make people understand that when you come together, you can make some amazing things happen for your community, because I truly believe we all want the same things. We want to be safe. We want to have economic opportunity. We want to have a thriving city. And so that's what our vision is going to be going forward continuously, and we're going to get there.